From the Wayne County Courthouse in Goldsboro, North Carolina, Wayne Goldsboro Television brings you the meeting of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners. The meeting begins shortly with an agenda briefing, then the regular meeting will begin soon after. Please stand by for the Wayne County Board of Commissioners meeting.
We're calling our pre-agenda meeting, our agenda meeting together. We're going to go over this to see if you all have any questions on the agenda. At 8:30 a.m., we will reconvene the Wayne County Board of Equalization and Review. It's my understanding that this will be the last meeting of the Board of Equalization and Review. And once we complete that, then we're going to adjourn that. Is that correct? Not recess, but adjourn. I'll try to keep that. Then we're going to call to order the Board of Commissioners at 9 a.m. Invocation from Commissioner Ray Mayo. The Pledge of Allegiance from Commissioner John Bell. Approval of minutes. And that is the Board of Commissioners for April the 5th and April the 19th. The minutes of the Wayne County Board of Adjustments of April the 5th. Any adjustments on the agenda?
We've got two. One, we need to take off under special recognition. Number one, we're going to do that at a later date.
Okay.
And then the second item is Marcia would like to add the NCACC May video update under new business.
So under special recognition, you're really taking both of them off?
Yep.
1 and 2?
That is
Okay,
correct.
both sure with that?
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't notice it was both. That's correct.
So there will be no special recognition.
That's right.
All right, so item 5 will be the NCACC video.
That's right.
Okay,
And we
any
will-
other adjustments?
And we will need a closed session.
Okay, we'll have a closed session and approximate time, how long are you breaking that to take?
Of the closed session,
Yeah.
probably 45 minutes.
Okay. All right, moving on at 9:15, we will, I'm sorry, forgot the important one there, the appointment committee.
We do have some today.
I understand an extensive report.
Yeah, we'll be painless.
At 9:15, we'll have the public comments. 9:30 a.m., we're having a public hearing to receive public comments on the naming of a service road from NC 581 South to NC State Road 1237 as Rock Pond Road.
That's correct.
Okay.
Public comments
Did you,
are to be received. We ran an ad in the newspaper, posted signs, notified all the adjoining property owners, and the address is located along that road. So that's the proposal.
Have you received any comments?
Have not.
You have not? Okay.
Can I ask you one question? Chip, once we take action on this, how long would it take the state to address it a secondary road number?
Now, that's gonna be a little bit hard to say. I'm not sure how long it would take to get a secondary road number, but we would order a street sign
Okay.
and put a street sign up as soon as possible.
Okay.
As soon as we can get one made with the Department of Corrections.
and as soon as you get the street sign up, you can go ahead and put the number, the street numbers for the 911 system, so.
Oh, yeah, we would do that within the first couple of days, change the 911 system, change the map and notify all the property owners again, notify the U.S. Postmaster, the electric utility provider, telephone, all those companies get notified by us.
And I think one thing we need to be mindful of, and that is that, you know, they're hoping to open up the new bypass here within the next 30 to 45 days. So, up to imagine usage of that road may increase.
Yeah, as soon as, if you renamed it today, by the end of this week, we would have the utilities notified, tax office, Board of Elections, all those agencies, Time Warner Cable, everybody is notified, is directed to the U.S. Postmaster, so the postmaster knows that the road name has changed and the addresses have changed. And we'll notify the property owners plus the addresses that are located on the road in case there's a difference in the occupant versus the owner.
And is it my understanding we don't necessarily have to take action today,
You don't have to,
but we could?
you could, after the public hearing.
Okay. Okay, based upon the comments at the public hearing, maybe we'll take some action or not. Thank you, thank you, Jeff. We then are recessing the Board of Commissioners meeting and reconvening the Wayne County Board of Adjustment meeting. Goodness. And at that time, we're going to have a public hearing to receive public comments on a special use request for a proposed solar facility.
That is correct. The site is called Icarus Solar LLC. It's located on North Beston Road. It is within the airspace control surface area for Seymour Johnson. So a special use permit is required by the Board of Adjustment. They've worked with the base to mitigate some issues that they had with this site. It does have some flight lines over the top of it. The base has recommended some mitigation strategies. They have implemented those mitigation strategies on their site plan. They also had an issue with a multi-purpose path that's on the western border of the property. They came to an agreement with the adjoining property owners and changed their site plan to reflect the use of that path, and they widened it out. It was a farm path. The Wayne County Planning Board reviewed the site plan. It meets all the requirements of the ordinance. They recommend approval, but with a condition added on the special use permit that after the construction, we get engineer certification that the proper panels were used as recommended by Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. Because what they do is they recommend an additional vegetative buffer on the property that we don't require, so that was above and beyond what we require. And they also required a deeply textured solar panel to reduce glare. So we want to make sure that they have installed the correct panel, so they'll have to certify that to the county with an engineered sealed letter. That would be the condition.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay, yes.
who would choose that engineer?
The developer.
Okay.
But they would have to furnish a letter from the engineer that they in fact
Correct.
get to use it.
Question, and that particularly textured solar panel, it does cut out glare, is that the difference
That's
between that and a
correct.
normal panel?
It is a more expensive solar panel to use, has a higher production cost, but they are willing to use it.
Yeah, we figured that's what it was when we were going through the agenda meeting, but I wanted to make sure. I said, what is that?
Right.
Sure. My understanding is you can physically see the difference in the two panels.
That is
The
correct.
textured and the non-textured.
That is correct.
So, an engineer's fine, but, verbal inspection should tell you.
Well, we will do that ourselves, but I
Yeah.
still would like a sealed letter
Yes.
stating that they installed it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the developer is Mr. Mike Wallace. He's the representative for the developer. He's normally here, but he has a family issue. He cannot attend, but their lawyer will be attending the hearing. But Mr. Wallace, who's been to several other ones, will not be in attendance. He had an issue come up.
But
Attorney.
it's my understanding that the planning board is recommending approval of the special use.
With the condition.
With the condition.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So we will have that public hearing. And then upon the completion of the public hearing, we can take action
Yes, sir.
at that point as the members of the Board of Adjustment.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anyone that would wish to once we have the public hearing, is there anyone that would like to make a motion on this?
Since it's in my district, I'd be glad to do so.
Okay.
Or you can do it.
Or is there any other questions on that public hearing? All right, moving on then, we're going to then adjourn the Wayne County Board of Adjustment meeting. Then we are reconvening the Board of Commissioners meeting. Under unfinished business, we have the consent agenda. And under the consent agenda, Mr. Wood, if you'll go through those with us.
Okay, we have applications for present use value. Alan, you want to go over those?
I'm here if any questions, it's the same one, that would have been approved, time they, last time, that would have been approved.
Thank you. Is there any questions in regards to applications of present use value? From what my understanding is, they would normally be approved. Okay?
The next thing is we have a day of prayer proclamation. And let's see, that's on page
103.
103. So we'll need somebody to introduce that and read it.
Did I understand, Commissioner Mayo, you wanted to do that?
I will do that.
Okay, all right.
And item 3 is simply to establish a public hearing on June 7th to receive public comments on a request to rezone some property. Chip, you want to go over the details?
Yes,
on
sir.
that?
This is a petition from Mr. Bruce Howell to rezone a .65 acre tract of land in the 4th Township from residential agricultural 20 to community shopping. It's located at the end of Leslie Road. It's adjacent to the new US 70 bypass, NC 44. The property is currently open farmland. In the highway corridor rezoning project, we rezoned the majority of his land, community shopping, and this little .65 acre piece was left RA20. He would wish that that piece be converted to CS. A public hearing will have to be held to do that, and we'll advertise it, notify property owners, and post a sign. And that's all you're doing is establishing that public hearing.
Okay.
This has gone to the planning board, and the planning board has recommended approval.
Okay, and all we're doing under the consent agenda is actually establishing the public hearing.
That's correct.
Okay?
The next item is to establish sessions for the budget. And I've given you a memo on page 107 that has a schedule there. Just to go over those, May 24th, we would have a special meeting where I'd present the proposed budget to you. Last year, we gave it to you May the 28th, I believe it was. So by state law, we have till June 1 to do it, but we want to get it to you as soon as possible. So we'll do May 24th. Again, that'll be a special meeting, and that's all that'll be on the agenda is the budget. I don't anticipate it being more than an hour unless y'all want to get into more details at that point. Then 2 weeks later, on June the 7th, we'll have the public hearing on the county manager's proposed budget. That's your regular June meeting. Then we would have, a week later, we would start our work sessions. So if you'll notice, from May 24 to June 14, that gives you 3 weeks to review the budget in depth and have any questions you may have, set up. It also gives you time, if you want to come in and see me one-on-one to go over any of this, we'll be more than happy to do that. So on June 14th, we would have, at 9 a.m., we'd have the work session for our internal county departments. Then on the next day, June 15th at 1 p.m., we'd have the work session for the outside agencies. Then your regular meeting on June 21th would be possible adoption of the budget at 9 a.m. If you're not ready at that point, and by the way, I should point out, anytime after June 15, if you want to schedule more work sessions, we can work those in. But the last date on here is June 30th. If you needed additional time and weren't ready on the 21st, you can always call a special meeting to adopt the budget, but it does have to be done by June 30th. So that gives you, I think, plenty of time to review the proposal, ask any questions you may have. We can bring back in any department head you want, or if you want a meeting with an outside agency or whatever. We're not going to, as in previous years, we're not going to schedule those folks. But as you go through on your work session, if you determine that you want them in, or if one or more want them in to that session, we can invite them in, particularly the outside agencies. I didn't know how you would want to do that. Normally, we've not been doing that, but if you want to, you could certainly require that they come.
Mr. Wood,
Yes.
if it comes down to the June 30th meeting, just keep in mind, I got a doctor's appointment at 9 o'clock that I cannot change.
Yeah, and it can be any of those days. It's
Okay.
up to
All right.
June 30th, so it can be any time.
Okay.
It just has to be adopted by the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah, and Standing's comments on that, what we wanted to do is to get the budget out so that the commissioners could have a little bit more time in reviewing it. So as you can see, we're talking about 20 days before the first public hearing on the county manager's proposed budget. And that is where we're getting comments from the public on June the 7th. But actually, we don't start our work sessions until June the 14th. So that's almost giving you a month to actually review that before we get into the work sessions. I would encourage commissioners, as you're going through that and you have questions, please reach out to the manager, and if you need to have schedule an appointment with him to go through that, I would encourage you to do so. We're hoping to have as a non-confrontational work session as possible, should I say.
Joe's not gonna be here that day.
I may not, okay. Non-confrontational as possible is the key word today. The word of the day, non-confrontational.
So on this, all we're asking is that at the 9 o'clock meeting that you vote to adopt this schedule.
Sure. Any questions on the schedule? Good.
The next thing is fireworks resolution for Berkeley Mall. This is something we do every year for their fireworks at July 4th. Then we have the recommendation on the $820,000 loan application for the sewer system rehab. All this resolution does is you're authorizing me to formally apply for it. As you know, we've been informed that we will get this $820,000, but now we have to go through the formal application, and I have to have your permission to file it.
It's good to know you've already received it before you apply.
Yes, yes. That's a slightly different way of doing business, but we like it. Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay. The next thing is the Wayne County Tourism Week. And we're just asking you to proclaim that.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Payne.
I had not planned on reading that, but I would like to read this in honor of Betsy Roseman, who we just lost. She did such a great job as a tourism director, and she's the one who sent this over to us. And I just think I'd like to read that. That's okay.
I think that's very appropriate.
Okay.
And then the next thing we have is budget amendments, so Allison, if you go through those.
First one you have is for the Register of Deeds Office for $90,741. This is to appropriate funds that we have collected, revenue over our budgeted amounts, and to appropriate the amounts that are due to the state. For the Sheriff's Office, $13,973.81. This is to record our receipt of revenues for seized property funds. For Wayne Net, for $497,273. This is a correction of a prior budget amendment that was done for 12 months budgeting for the 12 Wayne Net positions, and we really only need to budget for May and June of this year.
Let me give a little bit more explanation of that. So
Sure.
when we approved the budget amendment prior, we approved it for 12 months.
Right, and because we only have May and June left of this fiscal year, we really need to decrease that, but the full 12 months will be budgeted in the 16-17 budget.
So I think the key word here is decrease.
That's right.
That's
That's
in
right.
capital letters.
Okay, Okay, for EMS net and 911, you have a total budget amendment for $22,331. This is where we are changing the renewal date for our insurance policies from February to April. So they did have to prorate our premiums for those 2 additional months, and then we will be on our regular renewal cycle. For EMS, you have a budget amendment totaling $120,000, but it's really a $60,000 budget amendment to move funds out of the EMS department and reduce their repairs and maintenance expenditures. And then, in addition to this budget amendment, behind it, you will see a journal entry, which also needs to be approved with this budget amendment. It is an interfund loan that we are doing from the general fund to the fleet management fund to fund the startup costs for our fleet management fund. We never did appropriate any initial startup costs for our fleet management fund.
Let me go into some
Yeah,
detail on
please.
that. When you start up a fleet management operation, we should have given them some startup money. We had to buy about $40,000 worth of equipment. And of course, we can't charge that back to the using departments. We also have about $20,000 worth of inventory at any one time. So you can't start a business without some capital going into it. And so what we're doing is, I debated whether to just transfer the $60,000 over from the general fund into that. But the more we thought about it is the fleet management fund, now that we have everybody on board and is using it, we think will generate enough money over the next 3 years where we can repay a loan at $20,000 a year back to the general fund. But we do need some startup money on that. Otherwise, the fund is not going to be paying for the year because of the startup cost. So that's basically what this is giving us the startup capital.
Thank you.
Yes.
The microphone police have arrived.
I'm telling you.
My question is, do we have $60,000 that we can take from EMS to do this?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes, we looked
as far as
at,
I'm concerned, EMS is more important than a maintenance garage.
well, what we did is we looked at where our charges were on all of them, and EMS had the money to do that. And so that's why we're taking it from there.
Okay, as long as they don't come up a shortfall.
Well, if they do, then we'll have to move some money.
Okay.
Is it my understanding that you're setting this up as an enterprise fund?
It's an enterprise fund, and so we need to have the upfront money. And in hindsight, I should have done it on the front end, but we're going to have to do it because you can't start a business from scratch and not have any capital in there, and that's what we're doing.
I did.
Well,
Any more questions? Okay.
Your final budget amendment is for the sheriff's office, and this is to record receipt of revenues for your concealed weapons and fingerprinting fees. And that is all I have for you today.
Right. I did too with my daddy's signature.
Okay, that's all the consent agenda. Under new business, we have a motion to approve a proclamation for Older Americans Month on pages 119 through 122. And is it my understanding that Ms. Edwards will be here?
yeah, she's going to go over some of what they've been doing and give you an update.
All right, is she going to read the proclamation?
She can, or one of you can, however
Okay,
you want to do
we'll
it.
have her.
I'll read.
Okay,
I'll
I'm
read.
sorry, Commissioner.
I'll read the proclamation. She'll explain all that other stuff.
Okay, so let her explain it and you will read it.
I'll read it. All right. Yeah, right.
All right, item 2 is a motion to approve a proclamation for Mental Health Month in Wayne County. And Emily Peacock with the Mental Health Association will be here. And is there someone that wants to read that proclamation or just make a motion for approval?
They usually read it.
They usually read it?
Yeah.
All right.
We're all qualified to read it.
And is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion to approve that?
I'll make it.
All right, so that's Commissioner Bell.
Okay, and then we have a semicolon project of Wayne County presentation. This will be by Carol Bowden, and you have the letter from her in your packet. They're basically asking you to provide a place where they can have a meeting at no cost So, you know, I looked at.
Who was that?
This is, well, it's a new group called the Semicolon Project of Wayne County. It's,
Never heard of it.
so it's a new group that's starting up. She's given you that letter on page 124. I also gave you an email from Scott Stevens. Apparently they had approached them about using the new Goldsboro Convention Center at no cost, and they have a problem with that. And you're going to have the same issue come up when you have the Agricultural Convention Center, is different people are going to want to get it for free. And, you know, if you open that Pandora's box, you're going to have a problem, because I don't know how you give it to one nonprofit and not give it to other nonprofits. And so basically at the Wayne Center, we charge everybody. So, but that's the appeal they're going to make to you. We've looked at where we might hold it. Now, they probably will ask you if they can use one of your 6 free times at the Goldsboro Event Center. So it's either that or the Wayne Center. But again, I'm just cautioning you, I'm sure it's a worthwhile cause. All of them are. The only question is, if you start it for one and you only get 6 free events at the Goldsboro Event Center, if you do that, then the question becomes, on what basis do you deny others?
And this is that number 3 semicolon?
Yes.
Yeah, semicolon.
We don't have to
How
take
did they
action
get on the
it. They
agenda?
do.
I mean, what property? would
Well,
be on the
she
agenda?
asked to be on the agenda and make a presentation, and she provided this letter and asked to be on the agenda.
Yeah, all that's happening today is, of course, she's just making a presentation of this new group and such, and she had requested that. We just are going to basically listen to the presentation and not take any action. Is that okay with the board?
That's fine, that's fine.
How many people do they expect in all weeks?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think she said, I think she gave us a number, Joe, but
It's on Scott's thing, it says 100+ community members.
yeah, 100 plus. So again, and Scott's making it clear in his email, they're fine if we want to use one of ours. Of course, that raises the question, well, why don't you use one of yours? Because they have 6 free things too. But I think it's for the same reason, is they don't want to start the routine of, or whatever you want to call it, of giving away free use of their space, which.
So if we can, we'll listen to the presentation and just not take any action.
See what you think on it.
Okay.
And again, I'm not opposed to it. I'm sure it's a very worthwhile organization, but.
All
I
right,
just want to
item
caution.
4, we're going to have a presentation on workforce solutions. And my understanding is that there is a number of programs that are available, and I think they are going to enlighten us in regards to some of those programs that are available. Is that correct?
That is correct. And,
Is that the employment office?
yeah, and I
Yes.
think what I did, not the meeting we're having with the judge Thursday, but the next meeting, I think she's gonna invite the group to come there, so they can see firsthand what's going on.
And then item 5, of course, is our video that's been added. Once we complete all the new business, we're going to have the county manager's comments, the Board of Commissioners committee and reports and comments. We will have a closed session. At noon, we are not going to adjourn. We're going to recess our Board of Commissioners meeting. And then we will have lunch in a joint meeting with the Board of Education. We are having that, they are going to be hosting that at their offices. And after lunch, we're having a discussion on the proposed Wayne County Public Schools technology plan.
And I believe everybody's had an opportunity to look at that. We got one component to you, I think, on Wednesday or Thursday, got the other one the next day or so.
Yes, Commissioner.
Well, we have a hard copy there.
I was gonna say, if anybody wants one, I've printed out mine, and I'm gonna take some copies.
Yeah.
I'll see if they got them. If not, we'll make them there. We'll be at their
Huge
office.
screen, it gets real small.
Right,
I definitely want a hard copy.
okay.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I just may add, I told you earlier, I might won't be able to attend since lightning hit my house last night, I've got a lot to attend to. Electricians, cable, phones.
Cut your pay this morning.
Cut your pay?
It'll wake you up, now, I'll tell you.
I do understand that. So, is there any comments or additions, any more discussion on the agenda? Okay, if not, let's see, I am now going to go ahead and reconvene the Board of Equalization and Review.
Tax collector.
Y'all keep me on schedule on all these boards and so forth that we're recessing and adjourning and so forth. But we at this time are in session as the Board of Equalization and Review. We would ask if there's anyone here that would here to appeal a value. Alan, will you give us an update?
Yes, sir, Mr.
I'm
Chairman.
sorry, Mr. Lump.
Mr. Allen's.
Anybody collecting tax dollars, we're gonna call you Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we came 2 weeks ago, we actually have one more appellant and with 3 properties, so it brings our total to 32 parcels. There are 25 owners that appealed this year. We're working through those now. What we're gonna do is adjourn the Board of B&R today, and if any of these people wish to be heard, they can be heard by the Board of Commissioners at a later date.
Okay, is there any questions of Mr. Lupton?
Yes, I have one.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Commissioner Bell.
Are commissioners eligible to file this?
Certainly, but you better hurry up, we're fixing to adjourn. You better run.
Okay, any other comments or questions of Mr. Lupton? Being none, do I have a motion to adjourn the Board of Equalization and Review?
So moved.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on the motion? Being none, all those in favor of adjourning the Board of Equalization and Review signify by raising your right hand. Okay, we're now in adjournment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, then there's no other business. Do you want to attempt to go into closed session at this time?
I'm sorry.
Do you want to go into closed session at this time, or do you want to wait till a later time?
No, we
We'll
can
just
go
go
ahead.
into.
We can go ahead.
We can go ahead and start the process. And so, do I have a motion that we'll go into closed session?
So moved.
And it's for the purpose of consulting your attorney to preserve the attorney-client privilege.
All right, got a motion to go into closed session. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay, go into closed session.
I do have a discussion for you.